As markets move on-chain, TradFi and crypto markets are converging on Canton, the world's biggest institutions, highest quality assets, and on-chain innovators already here, the first public blockchain network with privacy. Every 2 weeks, we'll showcase the applications and use cases shaping the future of finance. The ecosystem is growing, new markets are forming, and this is just the beginning. Welcome to the Canton Buildcast, where new connections create new possibilities. In this episode, we'll explore the composable building blocks for on-chain finance on the Canton Network with the digital asset team. We'll look at how traditional and crypto-native firms are bringing hyperliquid, tokenized assets, cash and stablecoins to Canton, and why collateral mobility is the next in line for product market fit. There's more to build and connections to be made, so come and find your place on Canton. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Ben St-Gerald and welcome to another Canton Buildcast. Today I've managed to steal away my colleagues Georg Schneider and Ian Woodgate to talk to us about all things Canton Network, composable capital markets, and digital assets' latest tools and on-chain building blocks, which are really helping participants to bring real-world assets to the network fast and give those assets utility across the network and enable firms to participate in the tokenomics of Canton Network too. Hi gents, how you doing?
Hi Ben, be here.
Great to have you guys. Georg, let's jump right into it. Let's start with you. And I wanted to set a bit of context first for our listeners, right? Since the launch of Canton's public blockchain infrastructure, there's really been fresh momentum and desire, especially from institutional crypto players and in the on-chain payment space as well. Now, early on, we've seen issuers like Hashnote and Braille bringing their assets to the ecosystem. Now Circle bringing USDC. We have institutional Bitcoin coming with IBTC too. You know, on the market maker side, we've got QCP, Flowdesk, GSR, Cumberland, many others joining too. And there's over 160 validators now on the network as well, starting to access these assets and applications. You know, that's really more than 100 new participants coming to the network in just the last few months alone. So I guess the first question is, what is so compelling to all of these players right now about the Canton Network for these firms? And what's the value add of working with digital assets across the Canton ecosystem in particular?
Yeah, so I think we've seen a good amount of traction since we launched the network last year, and I think the primary reasons why people find it intriguing and interesting is that we really allow them to bring this new technology into more traditional financial markets, right? You need certain properties when you want to bring your TradFi business onto the blockchain. And one of the most important aspects around that is privacy. There simply haven't been any good privacy solutions out there that are really production ready and can be used today. And Canton brings that to the table, which allows people to really move business on chain that they previously couldn't. And then there is the aspect also around, how networks are governed and whether you can get enough control over the applications that you run so that you're comfortable bringing it into a public network, right? You do need to retain a certain level of control to make sure that the right people can interact with your application, and you can have the necessary safeguards to conduct your business in a safe way. I'd say the other aspect is certainly that the ecosystem has grown quite a bit, and more and more people joining the network means also that the people find other counterparts that they do business with in the network, and that really starts to show the first signs of real network effects where people just join the network because their counterparts and their trading partners and their business partners are already there conducting business. So I think we've come a long way since the launch. Of course, there's still a lot of things remaining to be done, but we're seeing really good signs of traction.
Cool. And I think the other thing is that, maybe people know digital asset from the past, but, since the launch of mainnet, really our whole go-to-market and business model has changed. Our laser focus now is really on helping people get into the Canton Network, providing the solutions and apps to really help people accelerate that activity and get into the network fast. Now, how have you seen digital asset solutions sort of evolve to support that change in direction, and the fact that obviously the network is owned by the participants of the network, really, not by a digital asset? How does that change how we have thought about our solutions and how we help people take advantage of the utility of the network?
Yeah, we've certainly thought quite a bit around how to make it easier and simpler for people to join the network and bring their use cases, bring their assets, and do meaningful things within the network. And to this end, we've created the Canton Network utilities as a framework that allows people to get started very quickly and provides them with all the basic building blocks that they need to build out their use cases. It covers a variety of aspects, but really is meant to be sort of the starting point and the jump off point for them to build composed use cases on top of this fundament. And I can go a little bit into more detail on what it entails in a nutshell. So the first thing you need when you come into a network is a way to represent identity and certain properties associated with that identity. And we covered that with a module that we call the credential module, which allows you to model on-chain identities associated with certain properties. So things like KYC, AML properties that you do want to use then when it comes to bringing the asset, so that you have your safeguards to make sure that the asset can only be held by parties that are eligible to hold it and that have been kind of whitelisted to hold the asset. So this is the fundamental layer that allows you to model these identities and their properties. Now, on top of that, obviously, we wanted to provide an asset layer. So that's what we call the registry module. And this covers all the basics around managing and administrating assets. So it covers all the basic functionalities like minting a token, burning a token, transferring, and also encumbrance and unencumbrance in the context of collateral. And that's really all the smart contracts that are needed for an issuer to come and issue their token into the network and do the basic things that people are used to doing with these tokens. There is another layer that's now being built on top of that allows us to now start composing things. So the simplest example here is the composition of a delivery versus payment transaction, which takes two assets and settles them together atomically. So those are the kind of the fundamental blocks that we provide with the Canton Network utilities for people to build upon. We've also now started building additional use cases that are sort of layered on top, specifically in two areas that where we think Canton, with its privacy, has a real differentiator. One of them is in collateral. Obviously, collateral is something that people prefer to move in private, and especially in the crypto space are currently not able to do so because most of the collateral lives on entirely transparent chains. So that's an area where we're investing now to build out capabilities and additional modules that would allow people to move around collateral on Canton and thereby leverage its privacy and the mobility that comes with having tokenized collateral in the first place. And the second aspect is, or the second direction that we're exploring is more around payments and stablecoins. There, obviously, stablecoins have seen a lot of traction, but I think their growth has been also limited by the fact that people are only willing to do certain things on an entirely transparent chain. And when it comes to really high value payments, vendor payments, payroll, these types of things, privacy starts to matter. And therefore, that's another direction where we're investing on top of this base fundament that we've built with the utilities.
Perfect. And I think the privacy plus the composability aspects of these are really what's driving some of the use cases we're seeing. Like you mentioned, the kind of on-chain margining that we're working with many players in the sort of crypto derivative space on, and also on the financing side as well for more TradFi and maybe starting to tokenize assets, use them as collateral, but then also have that convertibility with things like stablecoins. So you really get this kind of 24/7 benefit of these markets, but while we're maintaining that privacy that's so important, obviously at the institutional level. So very, very cool. I would love to see it, Ian. I've seen your demo. I love your demo because it brings all of this into the real world. Could you walk us through like how this kind of takes people away from having to build stuff from scratch with smart contracts and build their own applications, maybe how things used to be in the past, to how they can do it now on Canton with the utilities that we're providing as digital asset?
Yeah, poor spend. So what I thought I'd show you now is, first of all, a kind of little overview of the modules within the utility. So that's the credentials module that Gail talked about, and also that kind of asset layer, or the registry, as we call it. And then I thought I'd move on and show how you can use these base layers to compose your own applications. And we've built an example here of a financing application, and I'm going to show how we can use that to go through a financing transaction and have an atomic DVP occurring between our participants. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and I should take you through that.
Let's do it.
What I thought I'd do is take you through a quick overview of the modules within the utility application, and picking up particularly on ones that Gail spoke about. We've got the credentials module for this kind of verifiable credentials issuance, and then we'll take a quick look at the asset layer, or the registry application. And then finally, I thought it'd be good to show a little demo where we've built an application that sits on top of the utility, and it's a financing application. And I'll show how we can perhaps take a scenario like maybe it's a Sunday night, and we have an investor that is perhaps sitting on some tokenized money market funds, and they need to obtain some cash. How they can enter into a financing transaction and obtain that cash even out of hours. So there's a few windows here that you can see on my screen. There's quite a lot going on, but let me walk you through it. So top, we can see I've logged into the credentials module, and I just want to point out roughly how this works. You can see that we have a whole list of credentials available here. Each credential has an issuer, a holder, and some kind of claim. And the claims we've got here are very kind of simple claims. They're actually some of the claims that are used by our registry module, and they're just saying, well, who's got the rights to hold or be a registrar for the particular application that we've got here. So the next thing to look at is, let's go and look at the registry, and I'll just flick over to this tab here. And now what we're looking at is we're looking at the registrar's view of holdings within our application. And you can see here that we've got 3 holdings. We've got two investors. We've got investor 1, they're holding some money market funds, 500 money market funds. Investor 2 is holding some cash, $1,500 US, and also actually our first investor is also holding some cash. And then in the bottom screen, we've got the view that the investor sees. And this is quite nice actually, because it demonstrates the privacy that's built into Canton that Gail was talking about earlier. And you can see here that as the first investor 1, I see only my own holdings. So that the money market funds and the USDC that's reflected in the view above. And then in the right-hand window, we're the second investor 2, and you can see here, I only see my own holdings. And that's enforced on the blockchain level. So if you can imagine each one of these investors is running their own node, for example, their node only actually has a copy of this data. It's not something that's being filtered out at the UI or anything like that. Right, so now we're going to have a look at that financing scenario where it's Sunday night, where the investor 1 needs to obtain some cash, and they have tokenized money market funds, which they're going to use in a financing trade to borrow some cash. And so what we've done for this demo is we've built this demo application on top of the utility to demonstrate how we can undertake that kind of financing transaction. So what I'm going to do is in the top window here, you can see I'm logged in as my investor 1. Investor 1, if you remember, has the money market fund. And in the bottom window here, we're logged in as investor 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to request that financing transaction as investor 1. We're going to request it to investor 2. So investor 2 will be lending their cash to investor 1. So go ahead and make that request now. I'm going to put in the name of the trade. So give some reference, trade 1. Say with cash we're going to be borrowing is our USDC. Cash amount, let's say it's 500. The collateral is going to be that we're going to provide is our tokenized money market fund. And we're going to be starting this on Sunday night. And our counterparty is going to be investor 2. So I will just grab their wallet address from this second window. we can see that that's our investor 2, and we'll make that request. And as I make that, you should see in a few seconds that comes through to our second investor, and that's synchronizing through the Canton blockchain. So we're going to accept that. We're going to accept that request in a minute as investor 2. I will just flick over in the top window to the tab offers, and we should again see it synchronizing through the blockchain when I do that accept. Set a period rate, say 0.002. Collateral amount, we'll keep it the same to keep things easy. Let's say it's 500. And we'll accept that. And now you can see that that offer has been made to our investor at the top. What we'll do is in the bottom window, similar to before, I'll just flick over so you can see the previous financing trades. There's 2 that have been conducted previously, but we'll go now to accept that one. And we can see that that bottom row there, that one has now been created. So what I'm going to do now is we're ready for the financing trade to be instructed, and that's typically done by the operator of the platform. So I'm going to flick over to one more tab in my browser where I'm logged in as the operator of the platform. I'll just make that window a little bit bigger. And you can see if I go to the repos tab here, you can see that we have those instructions there. The bottom one is actually our new one. So we're going to instruct that financing transaction now. We can see all the details of it here. I go ahead and instruct it. And that should create 2 settlement instructions for the movement of the cash and the tokenized money market fund, which it's now done. And if we go back to our holdings now, we should see in the next few seconds there that just changed over. Hopefully you saw that. We can see now that indeed our investor 1 is now sitting on the 1,000 USDC, and investor 2 is the holder of the tokenized money market fund. And we can continue in the same process if we wanted to demonstrate the far leg. But hopefully you understand the idea here of what's actually happened here with that financing transaction.
Yeah, it's a bit like magic, and I think sometimes it's easy just to gloss over what's actually happened there. And I think seeing that convertibility of high quality money market funds with stable coins on chain with privacy to really unlock this kind of financing over the weekend, giving this real 24/7 picture is it's not something that has been done in market.
Right. There's a lot going on here, and
going on in the background. So I think
remember this is a fully distributed network as well, of course. So yeah.
Thanks so much. That's really, really cool. I mean, let's dig in. I mean, on that point of kind of 24/7 convertibility of, your high quality assets, stable coins, what are some of the use cases, Gail, that you're seeing this kind of unlock really for people both on the TradFi side and on the, the institutional crypto side? We're really driving that convergence between these two sides of the market. How are people in the network using these? What are some of the key use cases you're seeing today?
So I think it mostly boils down to people want to leverage and benefit from this new asset mobility that can be introduced through the Canton blockchain that really allows them to move assets freely between different types of contexts, right? So I mentioned earlier, collateral is a big topic for us. There, obviously, there is a lot of friction in the way that collateral is currently managed. Everything is T+1, T+2. So by allowing instant settlement, atomic settlement, we really can move to a much more efficient margin regime. If you manage to settle your collateral instantly, that opens the door for not only like a 24/7 operation that's matching some of the 24/7 markets or the direction that we're taking there, but also it allows you to do things intraday. So suddenly it becomes possible to run a margin cycle every hour or every 2 hours, and that ultimately takes a lot of risk out of the equation and allows people to do their business more efficiently. It unlocks capital, reduces risk and friction, and therefore just makes these markets a lot more efficient than what they currently do. Obviously, mobility also important with payments and stable coins. We've seen a lot of traction of stablecoins just for their utility of being able to settle them instantly. I think there's going to be a lot happening there, but really upwards in the market. So moving to more the high value payments, really the cash leg of a financing transaction. These types of use cases benefit a lot, again, from asset mobility, but also require privacy on the other hand. And I think Canton Network can provide both. And that's where we see the most traction and activity over the coming months.
Cool. So how can people get started in some of these use cases? We're obviously working on a number of projects, and we have these utilities available. We're working with people actively on designing new modules as well. What's the easiest way to get started? The next thing people can do with some of these modules, and how should they engage with DA on these?
Yeah, indeed, it's very easy and quick to get started. So the first thing you would do is spin up a validator node. So you can go to sync.global and look up how to do that, or you can work with one of the node hosting partners that we have. And from there on, really, it's one option is to use the Canton Network utilities if your use case fits the bill there. If you want to bring an asset, if you want to invest in an asset, if you want to move collateral around in the network, the utilities are the right thing for you. And on the other hand, you can start looking into how to bring your own apps and services into the network, building on top of the utilities. And that's really where you can start to expand your business into the ecosystem. You can benefit from the ecosystem, consuming apps and services that are already there. So yeah, with that, it's really easy to get started. It's worth it, and I would suggest everyone to do it and join the network.
Cool. Lots to come. Looking forward to getting out the stories on some of those projects we're working on in the background as well. It's going to be a really exciting few months for everyone on the team. But thank you again for kind of showing how easy it is to get into the network. Some of the applications people can get their hands on right now. And we'll have you back again when we have more utilities and more things that people are using the network too. But thanks for taking the time, guys. It's been enlightening.
Thanks, Ben. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Ben. Cheers.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Canton Buildcast. Want to dive deeper? Check out the links below to learn more, connect to apps, or bring your assets and use cases to Canton. And don't forget to hit subscribe to stay on top of the latest apps and opportunities shaping institutional grade on-chain finance. Bye for now.